Welcome to the next topic. We're going to now look at the cosine rule. So this is a technique involved in triangles to find sides or angles of triangles, similar to trigonometry or Pythagoras, but specifically it involves triangles that don't necessarily have a right angle. So let's have a look at this topic. So firstly, let's look at the formula. So the cosine rule has a formula: a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. And we use the cosine rule in actually two different scenarios. The first scenario would be when we know two sides around a known angle and we need to find the side opposite the angle. So let's look at a practical example to understand this. First, let's look at some notation. So we notice here we've got a capital A in the formula. Capital A stands for the angle that we know, and lowercase a would be the side opposite angle capital A. So every lowercase letter is a side, every capital letter is an angle, and B and C are two sides specifically around the angle capital A. So if we look at a specific example here, so let's change these. So let's say we had this angle here was let's say 60 degrees, and let's say these two sides were 2 and 3, and we wanted to work out this side here. This kind of setup would mean that we can definitely use the cosine rule. So two sides are known around an angle that we know, and we're trying to find the side opposite the angle that we know. So be very aware of this setup here. This is really the most common setup for the cosine rule. Okay, so then how can we then apply the formula to solve this question? So according to this formula, capital A is going to be 60 degrees. We have lowercase a, which is the side opposite capital A. We're just going to call that, you can leave it as A or we can call it X, both signifying an unknown. And you have a choice actually. B could be 2 or B could be 3, and C could be 2 or C could be 3, vice versa. It doesn't actually matter. You'll get the same answer. So B is 2, let's say, and C is 3. Okay, so then what we can do is substitute all this information into this formula. So we're going to get x squared is equal to 2 squared plus 3 squared minus 2 times 2 times 3 cos 60. And then if we simplify that, we're going to get 4 plus 9 minus 12. And then cos 60 is going to be a half. And then if we neaten that up a bit more, so we're going to have 13 minus 6. And that's going to equal 7. Remembering that this is all still equal to x squared here, and we want x, so therefore x is simply going to be the square root of 7. Let's have a look at the second scenario for the cosine rule. So here, the second scenario would be when we know all three sides in a triangle, and we need to find any angle. So let's look at a specific example for that. So that would be something like this. So if we have, say, a triangle where we know all three sides and we're trying to find one of the angles. So it doesn't actually matter which angle you're trying to find. It could be any of these three. We would still use this formula, but in this case we're going to try and find this angle, and let's call it angle capital A. So how do we proceed with this? I'm going to use this formula. So cosine of capital A is going to equal, and again we can label these A, B and C. B and C can be interchangeable. You can have B down here and C up here if you want. It comes to the same thing in terms of the answer. So cos A is going to be B squared, so let's say that's 2 squared plus 3 squared minus 4 squared over 2 times 3, So let's simplify that a bit. So that is going to be 13 minus 16 over 12. So that will be minus 3 over 12, which is going to equal minus 0.25. So this is cos A. Now remember, we want A, so we want to remove the cos. If we have cos A is equal to minus 0.25, the way to get at the A would be to do inverse cos of both sides of this, and that would therefore give us A is equal to the inverse cos of minus 0.25. So you can use your calculator for that. So that should give us approximately 104.5 degrees. So that is it for the cosine rule. So always, whenever you're given a triangle question, be on the lookout for these two scenarios. Scenario 1, you know, two sides around a known angle and you're trying to find the opposite side. Or scenario 2, you know, three sides of a triangle and you're trying to find one of the angles.